Just had to reboot the Webcaster X2.
See,
Excellent.
You guys have no idea what this man had to go through to get this.
It is, yeah, I know. It's this is the way it is.
It's kind of nice though, just watching Joseph run around like a crazy man trying to get everything.
You like that, do you? Well, this is pretty much normal every morning. Here, I'll put the comments if they're nice and big. This is pretty much a normal thing that we have to deal with.
I love it. This is the state of live streaming.
It is. It is the state of live streaming. It's one of these things where, you know, in my studio, I've got it all set up permanently. It's ready to go. But we still do a bunch of pre-check every day. We do sound check. We check everything stream minimum 10 minutes before we go live. Usually half an hour or so before. And still sometimes we run over time because gremlins just show up.
Yeah. In this setup, if people can see it, you did a talk on live streaming.
Recently. So this here's a little bit wider shot. Yeah, I just did this talk at Epiphan. Using this hardware, and the hardware that we're using right now is the Webcaster X2, which I know you probably can't see in this shot, audience, but it's down here. And we've got a webcam that you were just on. Now we just switched back to the G7s. This is the same setup that I did this morning when I did the live show. The only difference from this morning's show is different microphone configuration because we're both here, we're on wired. But it turns out the no audio problem we were having was simply the Webcaster wasn't getting it. As soon as I rebooted it, audio came on and we're good to go.
Right. And the other difference is you're in an awesome location now.
Well, clearly awesome location with insane bandwidth, I do believe.
Insane bandwidth.
Where are we pushing here?
We're
gigabit?
We're gigabit up and down, symmetrical.
I'm moving in. You know that, right?
Hey, you can buy it too. It's just AT&T U-verse fiber. So.
Yeah, not where I live. Yeah. So, my man.
What is up?
Good to see you,
my old friend.
It has,
you got some follicles.
Oh, I thought we weren't getting personal. Look at that, straight in. We're going personal. I see how it is.
You're not hiding it. It's not like come on.
No, gray and proud or something like that.
If I could do that, I would do it. My DNA doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, whatever. You see what we're doing here?
It would be scraggles, and I would just look, unkept.
Yeah. Well, if you tried to grow the full beard, it doesn't. Yeah.
Well, it would come. I would look like one of those. What do you call it? Those little. Toys.
The troll dolls?
Yeah, with the hair coming out here and here,
That's
and
good.
Maybe a little bit here. That's it.
Good.
Not a good look. Not a good look.
There we are. Yeah. So, for anyone here watching who doesn't know, well, first of all, I'm PhotoJoseph. I'm the host, of course, of the thrice weekly PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment show, but that is not what this is. This is a casual, impromptu, last moment interview with my friend Fredrick Van Johnsons, who I haven't seen in person in 3 years, 2, 3.
It has not been that long.
It's been a while.
It's been like a year or so or something.
In person? Since we've seen each other? No.
Who cares? In person, online, it's all the same these days. Just because we can't drink together.
If you, well.
I know. Cheers. And we're drinking some amazing scotch to this guy. Or not scotch, sorry. Whiskey that this guy brought over. We're drinking it properly too, right?
Picked this up in New York.
This
is a Pinhook straight rye whiskey. I bought this when I was in New York. Funny story, I walked into a liquor store trying to get some water. Walked out with this. Go figure.
It's water.
Distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. There we go.
It's good.
American rye.
It's good.
It is good. It's very good. So,
but you just dropped by. I was sleeping on the couch.
Yeah,
you just show up with all this gear, right?
That's how it is. So I'm in Sacramento, as many of you know, and it turns out that's where this guy lives now.
Sacramento.
So
capital
wrapped
of
up,
the country.
capital of the state. Good, but good try.
Well, you know.
And wrapped up my meeting and thought, well, maybe my old man Fredrick will come on and tell me what the hell's been going on for the last year since you decided to put TWiP on a small hiatus.
It's on a small hiatus. It was on a small hiatus.
It was on a small hiatus. Yes. It was supposed to come back in March.
There's been several. It's been like wimpy. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday
for a hamburger today. There you go.
Yeah. It's been like that. But it's interesting. There's a lot of details to this, to the whole, why did TWiP go away?
Okay, well, tell us.
And I will be recording a State of the Union in a couple of weeks. Maybe
here's an earlier pre-State of the Union.
This is a preview to the State of the Union. Where the heck is TWiP been? I put TWiP on hiatus for a lot of reasons. Personal reasons, some business reasons, and logistical reasons. One of the logistical reasons was I was buying this house. Okay. We built this house from nothing. So this was dirt a couple months ago. And you just got the grand tour. It's not a bad house.
It's a very nice place.
It's a very nice place. So
he's got a spare room. Anybody knows him, come by.
Come on. Well, you got to find me first.
Undisclosed location.
I know. People are like hacking the IP address right now. So I was building a house. There's a lot of stuff that happened in 2016, 2017 that was crazy, right? So I'm glad this year, honestly, I'm really glad this year is over because there's just crazy stuff happening for the entire country. So so I had personal stuff that I needed to deal with, and I just just being real from a business side of things, I wasn't having fun doing TWiP. It was on.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, it got to the point This Week in Photo got to the point where it was like, oh, crap. Is it, you know how you feel like when you have to go to work on Monday? This is Monday. You know, most of you felt last night before you had to go to work this morning. I was starting to feel like that about TWiP. And I was like, that was the whole reason I started doing TWiP, was to not feel that way. And it was leaking into my photography and my love of photography. And you know how much I love tech stuff and geeky stuff and all that. It was just like this overall cloud of like, you know, maybe I'll, you know, start, you know, a business doing pottery or you know? Not really, but
hey, I know the guy's like the preeminent worldwide expert on Mexican pottery. So if you want to get into that world, I can make an introduction.
No, thank you. No, thank you. So yeah, so it was a tunnel.
Okay.
For me, it was a tunnel. It was a soul-searching tunnel. It was a what do I want to do next tunnel. It was, do I want to do TWiP tunnel? It was, does this TWiP network thing? Because you were doing TWiP apps, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So does this TWiP, does the business model of a network of shows make sense physically, monetarily, you know, or fiscally, or whatever? Does it make sense to do that, or should I be solo like PhotoJoseph and just be, you know,
your own thing?
Not the one, you're not a one-man band, but you have a solo brand. You don't have a bunch of people that are doing, you know, parts of PhotoJoseph yet. So all these questions I needed to answer, and it's kind of hard to answer these questions when you are in the middle of the storm, or you know, you can't fix the car or change the tire, to continue analogies, when you're in the race, right? So you got to pull off to the side and kind of soul search, think about what you want to do, figure out a plan, and then press go and start executing on that plan. So that's what I'm doing now. That's what I've been doing over the past several months, along with building a house, along with all this other family stuff that's been going on.
Right.
You know? So now it's time to press go and start up the brand new. It's not really a brand new TWiP. It's kind of a relaunching of TWiP with a new focus and kind of a. I was thinking about this in the, you know, we were talking earlier, but it's kind of like it's TWiP, the DNA of TWiP, which made TWiP This Week in Photo so popular. That formula, we strayed away from that a lot, you know, in some good, in some bad ways. But the bad ways were too much monetization, I think.
But I mean, to be fair, you
had to make money. You got to keep the lights on. So it was like, you know, okay, I got to go to work to do it. It was, you know, it was reverse cold fusion in a lot of ways. So, you know, what I was thinking of earlier, I was like, yeah, the whole idea and the whole mindset shift, it has to go back to the old way that TWiP was, which was, we just, very simple, a bunch of guys and women or whatever sitting around talking about stuff they love, and it just happened to be photography.
Sure.
Is like, you know, the whole idea, when people ask me what TWiP was, I would say TWiP is like a bunch of people that you know and like to hang out with are sitting around at a table in a bar talking about the latest fill in the blank that came out that week. Right.
And that's always, was always the fun part about TWiP, is we'd pick news stories.
Yeah.
Right. It might be a new piece of gear, some event, some political thing that happened in the world of photography, or a legal event that happened, or a lot of legal cases going on. It's always interesting to talk about latest developments in technique or style, or here's this photographer, crazy photographer doing this crazy thing, let's talk about it. And it was a really good format. The format was always really, really good and enjoyable like that.
And there was a lot of, which is fine, but there, in the nature of me is I'm an experimenter, so I like to try different things, and nothing wrong with that, right? So let's try to do this, let's try this, let's add that. Some things work, some things don't. But what I'm doing now is taking all those learnings that we learned over the past, half a decade plus of This Week in Photo, and rolling them into this new thing. This is the other thing. So I was in Cincinnati yesterday, actually. Cincinnati,
Indianapolis
Ohio.
yesterday, go figure.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Cincinnati, thanks for having me. So Cincinnati, I was doing a talk at ProCam on...
a new camera store, right?
Yeah, ProCam. It's on Ohio. If you're in Ohio, or in Cincinnati, it's on Ohio Pike, I think it is the name of the street. But I was doing a talk in there, and I had it wasn't a giant crowd. It was maybe 30, 40 people or so that were in the crowd. It's a camera store talk. You know, you've seen them. You've done them, many of them. And several people in the crowd came up to me afterwards asking me, where's TWiP? Where's TWiP? When is TWiP coming back? We love
How can
TWiP.
you go anywhere and not have people ask that?
Right. But working from your fortress of solitude, you don't understand. You don't know what people are saying. I see every now and then I'll get an email or some sort of social media post, but to actually talk to real people and have them and look in their eyes and say, dude, please bring it back. We love your podcast. Really hit home, because it's like, I'm actually. It may seem like just a podcast, but we're really doing something important. because people love photography, and it's a way for people to connect with each other and photography.
Okay.
And it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the direction that it's going, the
Yeah.
direction you're going to take it, and what might be changing with that. Before we do, let's take a look at the comments. And for those watching live, if you have any questions for Fredrick or for myself, just pop them into the comments of the live chat here. We'll do our best to address them.
Let's do it.
I'm going to start just going through this real quick, see if there's anything in here we want to address. My buddy Sean Mark Nipper from Ashland, he's onto the whiskey track. Sean enjoyed it. We enjoy our whiskey.
Yeah.
Sean, yeah.
Ask him what he thinks about Jack Daniels.
You don't have to answer that.
Apparently that's not
Andrew
whiskey.
says he'll drink it. Sharbax is asking, oh, what's the camera mic streaming setup? It's actually the same thing we did this morning. LUMIX G7 using the Webcaster X2. The mic's different because this morning I had a wireless lav. Here we're on my my RØDE mics. These are the Lav Pluses that are designed to go into your iPhone, but I've got my little joiner here to bring the 2 in, and then the extension cable, and that converts into a regular TRS plugging straight into the LUMIX G7. The lens we're using is the 12 to 18. Or 8 to 18.
8 to 18, the brand new 8 to 18.
Yeah,
is
which
brilliant.
is a beautiful lens.
Yeah.
And a couple of lights up here. Just Fredrick had some CFLs we've got plugged in here. What helps though, and then of course it's streaming through the Webcaster X2, but what helps is the bandwidth.
Is the bandwidth. Yeah.
So the Webcaster X2 is doing 1080p at 4 megabit. That's all it can do. That's its max. But it helps when you have a really fast, clean connection. There's
And you're
no
wireless
choke.
right now. You're not even plugged in.
Yeah, it is
Ethernet.
wireless. Yeah, which is real nice.
Yeah.
Alenka's watching. Hey, baby.
Hey,
she
Alenka.
says hello. It's so good to see you, Fredrick. Look at that.
Oh, I haven't seen you since,
Since pre-baby, I think we were talking about.
pre-baby. Yeah. Wow.
Steve Brazel, he's watching too. You two in the same room. Yeah, that's not dangerous. Same show, same way. No, whatever it is.
I know
whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Sharback says he knew it was because of Trump. That was the.
Well, yeah. Let me address that.
Okay,
Because
all right.
a lot of people have been saying that it wasn't. Let's say tangentially, it was because of our president. It was because of a lot of it, and not all of my quote disappearance was because of the election and all that. But it was the. I mean, I'm human, right? I'm part of this.
been told.
Yeah, I'm part of this ecosystem. I'm a blood vessel. So when the organism is affected, everything's affected.
Yeah.
So it was just, I'm not going to make this political at all, but it was just the whole overall tone of the nation was off kilter. It still is. It was just sort of off kilter, and that affects everything. That affects my creativity. That affects my desire to try new things. That affects my wanting to approach advertisers to come on this. It affects
everything. I get
but
it.
not just the politics stuff. Everything affects everything. So that was just a small part of it. So yeah, it's not like the electing of President Trump or the not electing, whatever. Yeah, that was kind of the spark maybe, but it was the overall situation that was a contributing factor.
And obviously, wherever you sit on the political spectrum is going to affect that feeling,
Absolutely,
right? And for some, of course, they're very happy. They're in a very good place right now. But to flip that on its head, remember 9 years ago, we were both living in San Jose. We were both working for Apple.
Yeah.
Just how insanely excited we were about everything.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a very different feeling.
Yeah.
It's different. Anyway, let's end the
and
political.
as creatives, most people watching this are probably creatives as well, I would assume, right? So as creatives, you know how when you're not mentally in a good place, it affects your ability to
course,
even
to do
want to
everything.
pick up your camera.
Yeah.
Your
No,
camera's just
absolutely.
sitting on the floor over there for days while
Absolutely.
you come out of your funk.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so again, those watching live, if you got any more questions, comments, stick them into the live chat here. We will address them. But right now, let's go back to talking about TWiP. What is changing? I know you may not have all the answers yet, but
I
what
have
are we
all the
doing?
answers. I'm just not going to share them.
Oh, well, see how this is? Here, private exclusive interview. We're not going to talk about that, though. Let's see how it
He
is.
just said we both worked at Apple. We were both in marketing, so I know how not to answer questions. While making
You
you
should be a politician.
While making you think I'm answering it. Like,
It was a great answer. Thank you so much, Rick.
exactly.
I'm so happy that you wait.
I'm so glad you asked me that. Let me answer something completely different.
So tell me what you can. What are you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, so I'm just being flippant. So this week in photo, like I alluded to in the beginning, is going to go back to its basics.
Okay.
So it's going a podcast / YouTube channel.
Is it going to go video? Because we tried video a few times. Google Hangouts is a little sketchy.
Yeah.
It was always primarily an audio podcast.
Yeah.
Is that still going to happen?
I want to continue it as a video show because YouTube. When we started This Week in Photo down the path of video, was experimental because YouTube had just showed up with, or not YouTube, but Hangouts. it just showed up, and it's like, hey, let's just record it using Hangouts instead of all this other stuff.
Sounds easy.
Yeah, it's easy, and we can interact with each other, and then we'll just extract the audio file and go for it. So I still want to continue video because since we did that, video has become more important. You know, it's obviously since what we're doing here is video. So video is more important, but still audio is the primary driver for this podcast in particular, for This Week in Photo. Video is important, but audio is a passive medium, right? Yeah. So you can wash your car, you can drive to work, you can, you know, make dinner with your headphones on while listening to audio. Video, it needs two senses, right? Yeah. So sight and sound. So I'm gonna continue to do both. Okay. Maybe primarily, and I say maybe because I'm still working some things out, hopefully with your help in terms of logistics. I would like to do it live streamed, but if I cannot do it live streamed, it'll still be published, but I would like to do a live stream. Yeah. But live is fun. As evidenced by the lack of audio at the beginning of this one, well, it's not easy.
Live is not easy, but it is fun. And I'll tell you, one of the really cool advantages of doing it live is the pressure is off to know that, well, we get something wrong, we have to edit it, that sucks, I don't want to have to, you know, just start over. We fumbled a line, let's just start it over. Yeah. You know, when it's live, it's live.
This is real.
And you can, the audience forgives, hopefully, forgives the mistakes because they get that it is live, except for the YouTube trolls who come on and don't understand that it was a live show. And other than them, people get that it's live, and there is a level of forgiveness for that. And not to say that, oh, that means you can go off and screw everything up, but it does mean that you don't have to have it spot on perfect like you feel obligated to do once it's an edited, delivered product. And you could spend hours editing going, oh, there's that time where somebody coughed and how am I going to get that cough out of there? It's mixed. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, you don't just forget it.
You know what's interesting about you saying that? Because I know you. I've known you for what, a decade plus?
Oh yeah, more. Yeah.
A long time. And
before I was gray.
Yeah. You still had some. Yeah, so
still had hair here and less here. Is that what it was?
It wasn't inverted. Yeah. But I remember when you and I worked at Apple together, and to a large degree, you're still this way. You were the consummate perfectionist professional. I think Apple puts that in your DNA.
It does.
Oh, like it opens up your DNA and adds another another strand in there, and which is why it's kind of it's hard to understand how how you're able to do live streaming consistently, regularly, knowing your high level of attention to detail. Like it must gnaw at you not having everything just work perfectly. You're you're like an Apple store. Like an Apple store is like everything is exactly 1 millimeter from the edge of the table, and no dust, no nothing.
It's got to be just right.
But with live streaming, there's a certain amount of anarchy and unpredictability, right? Which is a lot of ways scaring me away from it. You know. I want to do it, but like you were saying before, I need everything to work bulletproof all the time.
And this is something that comes up all the time with live streaming, and I've helped a lot of people set up live shows, and I have a client who I set up a beautiful live studio for them, and they haven't gone, it was a year ago, I think, and they haven't gone live once.
Because of that?
Because they're afraid that everything's not right. And I keep telling them, it doesn't have to be perfect. And you know what? You could build a multi-million-dollar studio and have everything perfect, and your first live show, it's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Right? Something is going to go wrong because there are things that you don't know are going to go wrong until you actually go live. So you just have to accept that it's not going to be perfect, especially in the beginning. And even as we go, there's going to be mistakes. But you have to be okay with that and just do it. Just start. Yeah. When I started this show, the very first show that I did, it was because of Facebook Live. Facebook came up with live. Facebook started live. Yep. And immediately I thought, okay, I'm not going to let another cool technology thing pass me by. I'm going to get on this from the beginning. Yeah. And so within a week or two of them launching Facebook Live, I started my first show. And I made the commitment. Once I decided to do it, I decided it was like on a Thursday or Friday. I came up with the name over the weekend and I said, Monday, I'm going live. And that Monday, I happened to be on the road and I had to pull over to the side of the road. I was down in LA for something. And this show is still online. It's in the archives. And I just went live from my iPhone to Facebook Live. And I think I had one live viewer, right? Nobody knew, but that's okay. You just got to do it. And it was a crappy show, but it was my first live. And then I did it again the next day at the same time, and again. And it was just
incrementally better.
You just got to keep doing it. And this show, for those who've been watching the show for a long time, know that the quality of it has gotten astronomically better. The lighting's gotten better. The sound's gotten better. The camera's gotten better. I've added more camera angles. But if you look at what I do today and you think, I want to start with that, dude, you're insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's intimidating too, because I know what you have at your house.
Sure.
Well, you know.
Well, but look at any good YouTuber. Look at Casey. Look at MKBHD. Look at their stuff. It looks amazing.
It does. Yeah.
But it didn't start that way.
Yeah.
Right. None of them started that way.
Yeah.
You gotta just start with what you've got.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what's most important isn't your picture quality, sound quality, the lighting. What's most important is your story.
Yeah.
Are you doing something people actually care about? And if you are, you can do anything. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Yeah.
You start making it better because you want it to be better. The only reason my show looks and sounds as good as it does is because I want it to.
Yeah.
It's
of course, just like anything else.
Yeah,
right?
it's that Apple professionalism. I want it to be as good as it can possibly be. Yeah. And there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. But that's not what people don't tune into my show because I have good lighting. People tune into the show because I have good content.
Yeah.
At least I hope I have good content.
Yeah, that's
right?
the thing.
I have good content, right? That's why people come to the show. That's what matters. So you just gotta start it. And you've been doing TWiP for years.
Sure.
Now you're just gonna do it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the other part of this Rubik's Cube is how does the business part of all this work, right? Which is what I'm going to talk about on the State of the Union when I do that broadcast, which I'll do live. But it's inside baseball, right? So when I started down the road of building the TWiP network, right? So Alex Lindsay, Scott Bourne started TWiP, and then I took it over, and blah, 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 and I made the network. Most people know that story that have been following This Week in Photo. But as it evolved, it wasn't evolving on not that everything needs to be planned, but it wasn't evolving on a planned sort of business path. Right. I've had lots of conversations with people that are in the industry that are very professional and know how to do what they're doing and know how to make money and monetize everything. And from my standpoint, what I was doing was very like, oh yeah, let's try that. Oh, let's plant a seed over there. Let's try that. Let's try this show. Maybe people will like that. You know? And who was I talking to? I was talking to someone. I won't mention his name, but of note in the photo industry. He has white hair. You guys probably know him.
Come on, work with
me. He's very white. Well,
Whoa. And we're done.
Exactly. And but he was telling me, he was asking me about the business model of a network. And networks, no disrespect to networks work. They're great. And are having a series of shows that are all on the same genre, that's a powerful thing. But it has to be planned out, and much to go down that analogy route again, if TWiP is the main tree, and you start planting saplings around that tree, what happens to the main tree, right? They sap nutrients from the main tree. You can't have it both ways all the time. You can have it, and what I told him when we were having this conversation was, well, I'm okay with sapping some nutrients from the main tree if it means these are going to grow up and it's going to benefit the main tree as well, because I'm concerned with the orchard, not just one tree in there. I want everything to be a chorus of photography enthusiasm versus just one solo voice.
There's a lot of analogies all mixed together.
I am full of analogies. Something. It's this stuff, right?
You had one zip, blame that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, but look at a network, and maybe this is who you're talking about, but look at a network like TWiP. Right, the TWiP network is obviously phenomenally successful. The main show is This Week in Tech. That is the main show without a doubt. Yeah. But all the satellite shows around it, some of them come and go, some of them don't work, they kill them. Yeah. Some of them grow really nicely and they continue to thrive. Yeah. And it's a huge network, but there's a ton of people behind it. Yeah. It's not one guy.
It's not one guy.
It's
or a couple of people.
lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And tech, just to be fair, This Week in Tech, so the tech in This Week in Tech is a giant umbrella of stuff, of which photography is a small little silo inside of tech. So Leo can cover anything you can relate to tech. We can talk. You can talk about watches. You can talk about tripods. You can talk about lighting. You can talk about whatever. Right. Photography is relatively siloed. Right. Right. So what we were doing with This Week in Photo is taking that relatively siloed idea and then kind of bifurcating it out into subgenres. Right. At the same time, photography. On the other hand of that, photography is, at least it was last year, probably is this year too, the largest or fastest growing hobby in the United States, or passion that people have. Plus, it also happens to be the most expensive gear. So I mean, you can golf, but so I guess the point is things are smaller. It's a smaller world. I would like to emulate a This Week in Tech, but at the same time, the lifestyle that I want to build, I don't want to build a Leo Laporte This Week in Tech style, entity with a brick and mortar studio with, 100 highly skilled people running around and, and all that. That sounds great, but I honestly don't want to do that. I'm going to lean more towards the solopreneur, internet marketing. You know, you're changing the world from a laptop on a beach in Barbados kind of thing. You know,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. So
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. All right,
that's not where we are right now, by the way.
Let's see what's going on. What's going on in the comments here, real quick. Let's see here. Tim Engel saying, "Great to see Fredrick." I saw Tom's watching us as well. Tom, good. We'll see you in 45 minutes for dinner.
Yeah, if we make it.
No, we'll be there. We'll be there. We will absolutely be there. Alenka saying, "Pre-baby. Here's a formal invite to Oregon. Miss you. Okay, back to photography." See,
Awesome.
there you go. See,
all right.
Maybe
Oregon.
she invites you, you'll come. You won't come when I invite you up there.
No, you have no weight. She has all the weight.
Wow. That sounded really bad. She is going to kill you now. You know that, right?
Weight as in.
Yeah, sure.
There's
Yeah,
no way
go
to
ahead.
dig out of the
No,
hole.
really, go ahead. No, back on. Alenka saying, "Remember we hung out when Obama won."
I do remember that.
That was a party.
That was a party. That was a party.
That was good. And Christopher Berry is, Christopher Berry, cool. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the State of the Union speech. So when are we going to get that? When are we going to get that State of the Union?
Oh, geez, you're going to make me commit to a date and time?
Well, how about a month?
Can I
Can we
commit
to a month?
Can I commit to before 2018?
That would be this month. You realize that, right? It is December 11th.
Yeah.
You sure about this?
I am very sure.
That's a big commitment.
I'm sure about that. Yeah.
You heard it here, boys.
I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be an hour long. It could be 30 minutes.
It could be 2 minutes.
Yes, it will be a State of the Union.
State of the Union. The Union is stated. We're done.
In the State of the Union, I will announce what the big changes are going to be to TWiP in detail. I'll also announce the new schedule and what the format of the new show is going to be.
Okay.
So
Do I
it's
get
not
to
necessarily
come on the show?
You better come on the show.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Absolutely.
Just making sure. We got a few people on here who former hosts and
one more thing about
the
the return is the tenor or the temperature of the show is going to shift a little bit in terms of at least my temperature in the show. You know, who knows what you guys are going to say, but I want to take it a little bit more serious. You know, not joking, not so much like, okay, it's going to be not Charlie Rose, but it's going to be, you know, uber serious like a network show. But I feel like TWiP has a responsibility to talk about important topics as well as just fun stuff like the new lens and all this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on that's impacting photographers. I don't see any other podcasts covering, which is part of why this gravity is pulling me back in. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff happening around drones, around mobile phones, around law, around surveillance, around, you know, even technique and different softwares that are showing up that are doing this. There's so much stuff that we need to talk about. We could do a show every day for the next.
We could, absolutely.
You know, so, and I don't see any other podcasts talking about this stuff. You know, I'm subscribed to pretty much all the photography podcasts, and I don't hear a lot of banter, at least the banter that, like, I want to hear it about this stuff. So we're going to do it.
Well, you know, on PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, I had at one point, because you had just completely fallen off the radar, I had said, all right, I'm going to start doing one show a week or every other week. I think it was going to be. It was basically a podcast style, just to pick out some news stories and cover them.
Yep.
And then it was, I think I got 2 episodes into that, and then you came out of the woodwork and said, TWiP's coming back. And I went, oh, good, I can kill this. I don't have to do this. And then you disappeared again. So you better come back.
Periscope up and then down.
Yeah, well, just keep in mind, if you don't bring it back, I am going to start doing this.
It's coming back. I'm telling you, it's back.
Okay.
TWiP is back.
He says it's
the
back.
house is done. I'm in the house. You saw the Bat Cave, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a good Bat Cave. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Fredrick, it's been an absolute pleasure. I got to figure out how to get out. Did I zoom into your? How do I get out of this thing? Using somebody else's laptop is always
somebody
a bad
saying
idea.
When is the G9 going to be available?
People.
I don't know.
I have no idea. not a clue in the world.
Hopefully soon.
Hey, everybody wants it. All right, guys. Hey, buddy, thank you so much for coming on, and that was super fun. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
It is.
You know that bottle's not leaving this house, right, sir?
Well, I need room in my suitcase anyway. So.
Housewarming gift.
Well,
cheers.
You see, now I'm going to feel bad if I don't leave it. Oh, my God.
Cheers.
Well, I better drink up now, then.
I know. Thanks, man. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in and being patient with the TWiP not being around.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.